the neck installation. Alright, so you know what? Not neck installation. What I'm thinking I'll do is I'll go ahead and put the 6-point vintage trim on. That's what we'll do next. Okay, so now got a couple screws to hold down the pick guard. That's in place. We've got our output jack wired, the ground side, the hot side or the connection side. We've got our rear trim claw cavity grounded now, so all this metal's grounded on the same pot. It's the tone pot, or is it up here on the volume pot? I think it's on the tone pot. This last one, everything's grounded to it. Now another little thing I did is I attached just 2 screws here, and what I did was, if you want to keep your protective plastic on here while you're working on the guitar, I just peeled it back enough to expose it so that you could screw in, see? I put the screw in, and then I just rolled the plastic back on top, so the plastic stays there just until you get finished. And when you go to peel this off, you won't have a screw trapping it, because one of the most annoying things, when I took this guitar apart, it still had it was all bashed up and dirty and everything, but it still had brand new cellophanes trapped in the screws. So if you think to do that, you won't have that thing where there's like plastic sticking out of the screw where the pickguard and screw meet. I'm a perfectionist like that. Okay, so let's take our 6-screw vintage style trim made by Ping, and man, this thing is solid. It's very similar to the Wilkinson. I would like to have those compared, directly, because Kevin had a Wilkinson for the Surfer Girl Strat, and it seemed really good. And this one I like too. So I bet they're very similar, very close as sonically. I'm thinking that. Okay, so I've dropped the little trim in, and I believe over here I'll find my hardware. That's the back plate that needs to go over there. And then here is the 6 screws in here. Let me just get this out, put it on this red thing. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 screws, 6 brand new shiny screws. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put these in a little bit of wax, just to make sure. It may not be necessary, but I just don't want to have any trouble going to this beautiful wood. And I had a little bit of trouble at one point, and I realized how dense this wood is. So I'm going to just kind of hand tighten these on, like, finger screw them onto there. And then I'm going to put the other one on, a little bit of wax. And this wax may be completely unnecessary, because all the screw holes have felt perfect. And these don't have to go in tight, which is not why I'm using it. I'm using it so it doesn't have any trouble going in. Okay, so I'm going to just hand tighten this one down as well. Set these screws down. Where's my screwdriver? It should be up here. There it is. I'll put down my little rag here to protect the wood and the pickguard. And I've left the pickguard plastic on, but I'm just going to screw it down nice and easy. It's going in beautifully like butter. So we'll go all the way down. Pretty much. I'm not even going to worry about going all the way down. Then I'm going to go to this other edge, so I'm doing the 1st position and the 6th position for no real reason, just I don't know why. Seems to balance better when you do it like that. And I might move up to a bigger screwdriver for this. Let me do that. Okay, I'm going to use this bigger screwdriver just because it feels like it needs a little more to get it down in there. Okay, I'm going to just screw it till it stops. I don't want to pick this, I can feel it picking up. I don't want to pick it up. I'm going to just leave it where it's not picking anything up. Do not want to pick this bridge up. I just want to keep it on the guitar. That's all I'm trying to do. Because I want the bridge to be able to move when it wants to, without being glued to the guitar. See how you can move it? Okay, so I'm going to just put the rest of the screws in. This isn't rocket science, obviously. Everything seems a little harder than you think it'll be, though. So just take your time. It doesn't matter that it's only putting in a screw. It's a very, very special screw, So take your time with it. This is a really important part of the guitar. I didn't understand that fully until I played a Strat. But a lot of people don't even use their Trem because they can never get it to stay in tune. So it's a very, very important part of the guitar. And you could probably use a automated screwdriver gun of some kind. I'm just being extra careful just because this thing is so beautiful. It's new. I don't want to screw it up, you know. But I can feel some resistance going in. And I've got carpal tunnel, so it doesn't like that. And I think it's important to drive these screws slowly, you know. You don't want to push them in so fast that it kind of just like strips through the wood. Now once, you know, especially this spot, this is an important spot. That's why you don't want to just crank these down. And I'm not even going to worry about doing that because we don't have strings on it yet. I'm just going to get the screws in place. And then later, tonight when I'm sitting around, I'm going to carefully get them all about level. And they're not going to be tight. You don't tighten these down. That's not the goal. Now I guess if you wanted to turn this into like a stop tail, you know, and you wanted to block the Trem or something because you didn't want to use it because you couldn't get it in tune or you just don't like Trem. Or maybe you feel like there's more sustain. There's always a reason, and you should follow your reasons. Don't worry about what other people are doing. So, if you were doing it for that reason, maybe it is best to push it all the way down to the guitar. But when you're doing a vintage Trem, you want to keep these. You want them to keep the bridge in place, but they're not there to be locked down to hold the bridge like that tightly to the guitar. It should have some play in the back end because this isn't down too much. And I have plenty of play, so I feel good about that. I'm not the least bit worried. Okay, so flipping it over, this gets a little more interesting. I kind of hate doing this actually. These springs, they always like freak me out. So I'm going to relax the claw a little bit because you can always go back up. I don't like trying to drive into the wood any further, and it looks about, the way it's got adjusted, looks about like the way I usually end up. But I'm just going to back up a little bit just to make it easier to pull this spring into place. I got this one to hook on pretty easily, but this one doesn't want to hook on as easily, probably because it's further away. So anyway, I just backed it out enough to get the spring. This one went on with brute strength. This one needed a little help. Okay, so now I'm going to take the third one. I usually make that string straight, but if you want less tension, you can do them like at an angle, you know. I think all of it looks cool. I should decide which one works the best for me and just stick with one. But lately I've just been doing them straight. So I've just got them 3 strings, equidistant. Nothing's touching the body or anything like that. It's all perfect. Toby did this perfectly, man, because you can screw that up too. I have an actual Fender Strat that I bought, a Squire, where these springs, you can't put it on the outer one because it literally like slammed up against the body. And I always think of that as kind of being like right where you don't see the screw threads anymore, because like there's the screw is finished until the threads start. So I just take it to the point where I don't see those threads anymore. And that's about where Toby had it. And that seems to be like a good spot to just start. It seems like a starting point. And it'll pull the bridge down taut to the body. And then what I can do is start my adjustments from this point. And what I'll be doing is an easy back out. I won't be trying to push these screws way up into the wood. So I think I have this set up really well right now. I've got my 3 springs. See how high I have it, and then it's pretty much equidistant. That could change depending on what happens with the Trem. One side may need to go up a little higher or whatever. Then I have my springs here. Nothing's touching anything, so I don't have to worry about losing vibration or resonance. I'm clear on all sides, and so yeah. And I could also bring these in and have them grab on right here if I'm worried about not clearing over here. Let me check that with like a little piece of paper. See if I'm making any contact. No, it's totally clear. I don't know if you can tell. But just sitting like that right there, there's nothing touching the wood. So, success. The Trem has been installed. I can take the arm now and put it on. But I'll leave it off for now. So, let's go to strap buttons. I'll do strap buttons next.